Crabtree, welcome to Under the Foreskin, a show dedicated to happenings of the SJU and Misfits Fantasy Football League. My name is Kyle. I'm the head of football operations for the Potomac Pretenders, the 1-0 Potomac Pretenders, and also the voice of SJU and Misfits Fantasy Football. It's interesting what a year brings. Last year at this time, I would have about 4 beers in me. Played a couple games of Halo, watched a little something on TV, I don't know, the league or something like that. And now this year I've changed about 4 diapers tonight. I've washed about 40 bottles. I've vacuumed the carpet, and it's amazing what a baby does. But in true dedicated fashion to the Under the Foreskin studios and the Under the Foreskin radio and show, I'm down. I'm in the chilly basement tonight recording. The Under the Foreskin studios from last year have been taken over by a pink and purple painted room, and here we are down in the dungeon. It's about 43 degrees in my basement right now, I'm pretty sure, but onwards and upwards. So we'll go through what happened in week 1, some interesting developments. We'll hit up waiver wire Wednesday. We didn't have much trading action this week, and then we'll go into picks for next week. So here we go. Week 1, the Smugglers. They traveled to Poughkeepsie to take on the defending champion, the SJU Misfits Fantasy Football champion, I wish it was the Potomac Pretenders, the Poughkeepsie Pandas. And for the Pandas, it's at least their 4th straight win in a row. I mean, they won all 3 in the playoffs this year, and they won this one, 101-75. DeAndre Hopkins and Chris Ivory were huge for the Pandas this week, 20 points plus apiece. And for the Smugglers, only 2 in double digits. You know, Roger and all that money in the draft kind of laid an egg here in week 1, and he'll be looking probably to bounce back this week. The Hotties, also a preseason favorite for most. They took on the Flint Tropics, who built themselves quite a team pretty quietly, I must say. And the Hotties did not show up to play, and the Flint Tropics did. 62-109, the Flint Tropics get the win. Tim Brady for the Flint Tropics, 27 points on Thursday Night Football. They kicked the season off with a boom. Not bad for a guy that at the draft he didn't even think was going to play till week 4. And for the Hotties, 6 players with 5 points or less. That is crusty. There's some crusty teams out in our league, and no one had as bad of a week as the Hotties. So much like the Smugglers, I'm sure they'll bounce back just fine, but not the first step you want to take out of the gate for the SJU Misfits fantasy football season. Next up, the Chernobyl Tin Whiskers traveled to Alaska to take on the Pipeliners, and they came out with a victory, 92-82. Travis Kelce had a huge week, 23 points, and that was a little scary. He thought he broke his arm for a while there. And for the Pipeliners, really, besides Julio Jones, they were pretty abysmal. 55 points going into Sunday Night Football, and fortunately, Julio was there to bail him out with a big night at 27 points. But overall, very crusty performance out of the Pipeliners, and they're looking to find a new quarterback, as Teddy Two Gloves just didn't show us much in week 1, and I'm pretty sure he's been dropped now. The Border Collies, the Baton Rouge Border Collies, took on the Saskatoon Skin Flutes this week, and they couldn't come out with a victory. Not only did they not come out with a victory, they lost some key players. The Collies went down 78-104 to the Flutes. The Dez injury was big for the Collies this week. He only had 4 points, and then obviously breaking his foot and not being out the rest of the game in probably 6 to 8 weeks is a scary, scary conundrum for the Collies. I mean, he was building that team on solid wide receivers, and one went down, and I know Andre Ellington went down, who didn't find his way in the starting lineup, but also a little concerning to have 2 guys go down week 1 if you're the Collies. For the Flutes, you know, they never cease to amaze me. You wonder how Dave's going to come out on top some weeks and just gets a guy like Tyler Eifert to score 23 points, and then no one else under 7 points except the good old Sammy Watkins with the big old donut. Yikes on Sammy. But 100 points nonetheless. You score 100 in this league, 9 times out of 10 you're going to win. Next up, the Duluth Draft Dodgers, and this is the 1 time out of 10 you don't win, the Gnawbone Butte Pirates. The Dodgers scored 119 this week. Huge week for the team that everyone doubted. And the Butte Pirates scored 106. So the Butte Pirates break 100, don't get the win. That is very unlike Zach fashion. For the Dodgers, 6 players in double figures. Austin Safarian Jenkins with 24 points. It was the week of huge tight end scores. For the Butte Pirates, what really cost him was a Royale donut. Eddie Royale put up a big 0. He was out in the field, but that's about it. On the bright side for the Butte Pirates, Carlos Hyde looks like just an absolute stud, and I can't believe I'm even pumping his tires here because I'm just trying to trade him for you probably from now until the end of the season. But he scored 30 points against the Vikes, 2 TDs, big yardage. Brian Robinson on K-Fan the next morning was like, let me tell you something. When you're playing D-end and a guy that big and that fast gets to the corner, it's scary. He's going to be scary all year, and he's going to be a beast in this league for a long time. So props to the Butte Pirates for picking him up in the draft. I don't think he was real cheap, so probably not a ton of keeper value, but nonetheless, going to be a nice player on the Butte Pirates all year. Next up, the Crapstone Prairie Dogs. Co-Commissioner Alex Dunn took on the Akron Armadillos, another team that everyone was down on, and they performed like we thought they would. The Dogs scored 94, the Dillos scored 72, so that's a win for the Prairie Dogs. C. Palmer, 25 points. Matt Forte, 23, made up a large majority of the Dogs' score this week. And for the Akron Armadillos, AP, 5 points. And honestly, it was the ugliest 5 points I've ever seen. He had 50 yards and 52 yards. You got lucky getting 31 rushing and 21 receiving. I mean, that was a crusty game. He's on the sideline, looked pissed off. Niners shutting him down. Just nothing went right for AP. As a Vikes fan, I know we're all hoping, or most of us are hoping, that he bounces back. And I'm sure the Akron Armadillos are really hoping he bounces back. Or it could be a long, long season. Last but not least, my Pretenders. High score of the week, 120. Just demolished the Waco Wrinkle Beast. I mean, this thing got kicked off on Thursday night with Gronk smashing for 27 points, 3 touchdowns. Recovering fumbles in the end zone that get called back. No worries, I'll just catch a touchdown anyways. The Wrinkle Beast scored 81 this week, and what really let them down was what I thought was going to be their strong point. I thought they had 2 good, kind of sneaky good receivers in Golden Tate and Andre Johnson. Each one only scored 2 points, so a tough week there for the Wrinkle Beast. He made some nice plays starting the Panthers D, and I can't really remember what else, but it wasn't enough points to make up my monster week of 120 led by Gronk. So that was it for the Week 1 matchups. We got 7 teams at 1-0 and 7 teams at 0-1. So Week 2, always a fun week to see who starts to separate from the pack. Waiver Wire Wednesday. So big acquisition this week, and only one person bid on him, which is interesting. It was Lance Dunbar. $55 he went for. Or pardon me, Saskatoon Skin Flutes took him for $42. There were no other bids on Lance Dunbar. So classic Dave there, just spending a lot of money. Well, he knows what he wants, and he's going to go get it. CJ2K went to the Alaskan Pipeliners for $28. Next highest bid was the Tin Whiskers at $17. And then Nick Foles went to the Waco Wrinkle Beast. They're trying to replace Cam Newton, who just looks like dog shit. He went for $12. Foles did. Right behind him was the Gnawbone Butte Pirates, putting in a real lackluster effort with $2, trying to grab Nick Foles. All right. So as I promised last week, I would update the picks every week. So I went 3-4 last week. Jonas went 4-3. Obviously, no host this week, so we won't have a host. If somebody wants to email me their picks, I will, or post it on whatever that web Slack. I'll count that as a host pick this week, and I'll jot it down. So I went 3-4 last week, and hoping to improve that this week. So the Smugglers, they're traveling to Alaska this week to take on the Pipeliners. I think this is a bounce back week for the Smugglers. Don't love the Pipeliners this week outside of Julio. So Smugglers get a victory and go to 1-1. I think the Pipeliners are going to fall to 0-2. The Skin Flutes take on the Hotties. Same story here. It is a tougher matchups this week for the Hotties, so it's hard to believe that they're going to score more than 62 points. But that's a good team, and you got to figure they're going to bounce back. It'll be really, really interesting to see if they throw up another, 60, 70 points, and the Flutes throw up another 100, how the Hotties will react to that, going down 0-2 with that roster. The Tin Whiskers, they travel to Waco to take on the Wrinkle Beasts. Until Arian Foster comes back for the Wrinkle Beasts, I just see them keep sliding. and the Tin Whiskers are going to get a win. So the Tin Whiskers would move to 2-0, I believe, and the Wrinkle Beast would fall to 0-2. The Collies take on the Pandas, and the Pandas have a sneaky good team. Top to bottom, the Pandas are fairly solid. Them and Dinger really are looking like two contenders, and just top to bottom, not a lot of holes in those rosters. And the Collies without Dez, although they have a solid team, and I do feel like they have some players that could blow up at any minute and have a big week. Not having the threat of that 30-point game out of Dez is scary. So I'm going Pandas this week. I think it's tight, but the Pandas have put together a nice roster. The Buffalo Armadillos, the Akron Armadillos take on the Gnawbone Butte Pirates in an interesting 3 running back each lineup. It's going to be quite a matchup. So the Dillos have AP, Trey Mason, and Ronnie Hillman. Yes, they're starting a backup. They just fell in love with what they saw last week out of Ronnie, and who knows if CJ is going to play tomorrow night. Could prove to be big. For the Pirates, DeMarco Murray, Carlos Hyde again, and then Melvin Gordon in the flex. So, I like Murray, Hyde, and Melvin better, obviously. But Dillos have a sneaky card in Drew Brees this week. He's home against Tampa Bay. Marcus Mariota lit up Tampa Bay with his eyes closed in his first game in the NFL. I think Brees just has a monster game. AP bounces back. They have a couple big scores, and everyone else just kind of putzes into the finish line. And the Dillos sneak by the Butte Pirates. That's my thoughts for this week. Crapstone Prairie Dogs take on the Flint Tropics this week. And again, like I said with the Pandas, the Flint Tropics are just top to bottom so strong. And for the Crapstone Prairie Dogs, they got 2 Vikes in their starting lineup. 2 Vikes that are incorporating the passing game, Mike Wallace and Kyle Rudolph. After seeing that line and Teddy just gum it up, you got to figure they're going hard to AP, and they're going to try to give Teddy a little rest at home so he doesn't hear the boo birds already. Then they got Jeremy Macklin, who's banged up a little bit, it sounds like, and he's going to be matched up against Aqib Talib, which is just a terrifying thought. Talib looked awesome last week against the Ravens. So I'm going Flint Tropics. I don't think this one's close. Last but not least, my pretenders, the Duluth Draft Dodgers, were playing for a 6-pack of Deschutes Fresh Squeezed IPA. Looking forward to winning that, and I don't think it's even going to be a contest. McCoy does make me a little nervous after watching D'Angelo Williams just roll over the Patriots D. McCoy does play the Pats this week, so that does make me a little nervous having him out there, but they'll probably just give the carries by the end zone to Booby Dixon. McCoy will have like 80 yards, no big deal. And then I'm liking what I see with my team. I'd like to see Mike Evans back, have my number 1 receiver added to my lineup, and let's hope the Bishop keeps the truck rolling. If that happens, I really like how my team's sitting, and we'll see you all in the playoffs if that's the case. So I'm going Pretenders over Dodgers. I'll take that 6-pack. Hopefully I'll drink a few of them before we talk next week. So with that, that wraps up Under the Foreskin Week 2 from the Under the Foreskin Studios. Thank you for listening. Good luck out there on the gridiron. Take care, everybody.